Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I am Evil Mike, and I got a review for you. This is from Marvel Comics, Darkhawk, issue number 3. It is written by Kyle Higgins, art by Juanan Ramirez, or Juanan Ramirez. Then we got colors by Erick, Arciniega, and letters by Travis Lanham. I know I mispronounced those words and totally butchered the names and butchered them. No, never any disrespect. Okay, so the new version of Darkhawk. This is a complete new version of Darkhawk. It is not the 90s. He still exists and supposedly is still alive. So old fans, don't. He's still out there. This is just a different version of Darkhawk. He is Connor is his name. He has received an amulet that blasted down from space. He happened to pick up the amulet, and now he is linked with the the Darkhawk armor. Currently, what was going on was like they were trying to steal. Some thugs were trying to steal his armor. And it ends up turning out to be like one of his good friends, Derek. And in the last issue, we saw that because Derek had failed, trying to steal the armor from Connor, that eventually they had killed the bad guys that he was working for had killed Derek. So that's where this issue starts off with. Basically, Connor is on his phone and constantly texting Derek, trying to find out where he is, and of course Derek is not responding back. He's at the hospital because Connor suffers from MS syndrome, and it's kind of another selling point for the comic, but in my opinion it's one of the more interesting aspects of it. But he has been recently diagnosed with MS syndrome, so it's not something he is was born with or anything. Of course born with, but not something he's used to, kind of thing. But he is at the hospital. They're receiving like CAT scans, and different diagnostic labs are coming in, and it's him and his dad, and they found more lesions than like a week ago when he first started taking the x-rays, and it's like cause for concern. Connor does go into this thing where he's trying to figure out if the reason they're increasing is because of his physical activity, because now he's been a lot more physical as Darkhawk. He was already physical before, and he brings that up. That's kind of how he plays it off, talking to the doctor and his dad there. But because he's a basketball star, and the doctor just explains there's not really any cause for concern for doing more exercise. If anything, it would be a benefit. The real cause for concern is stress and overheating the mind, that kind of thing. They jump back to them going home and stuff, and Connor is still worrying about Derek. We get a scene where the basketball coach kind of knocks on the door and comes over and lays it all on the line that they've received word that Derek was murdered, and sadly he has passed away. Now they go through the whole Connor freaking out because he lost his best friend, but it's not there for too long. He kind of starts thinking about who would have knowledge of what happened to Derek. Which leads him to a bar, and it is a guy named Sean that was hanging around with Derek, previously, and they show Connor going to the bar, and he gives him the benefit of the doubt. He goes in there and asks him like friend to friend, hey, do you know anything what happened to Derek, blah blah, and he kind of gets in Connor's face, but also does it with kind of respect, like, hey man, you don't know what you're talking about, I do know something, but you can't just come in here approaching me like this, kind of thing. So Connor does end up leaving the bar and comes back a minute later with the because he blasts down the wall of the door and basically flies and grabs Connor and blasts out through the ceiling of the bar, flying Connor extremely high, and asking him what happened to Derek, and eventually without answering he does drop him, but catches him before he hits the ground, and then proceeds to asking him again, this time with Sean kind of telling him what happened to Derek, saying that it wasn't him that killed Derek. It was this other guy named Colt, which we did see in the previous issue. He tells him where he can find Colt, yada yada yada. So Darkhawk and his, now that he's got all these powers and stuff like that. And before I get too far, they do this one scene where, like, it was before he went to go talk to, before he even found out that his friend Derek was dead. He does make this video where he was trying to reveal to Derek that even if he wanted to give the armor, he couldn't, because he just hasn't figured a lot of the armor out. But he actually does this video where he's showing him, like, when he touches the amulet, how the armor comes on, and with thought, how he can take the armor off, kind of thing. And that's why he can't, he can't give it to him, because it's like connected in some other kind of way. But they also show this thing where he hasn't even figured out, when he's wearing the armor, if he can even take off the helmet, or if it's all one piece kind of thing. And they do show where he does try to remove the helmet from the from the complete outfit, and it's a little confusing, but it almost looks like, because he does start to take it off, and honestly, it looks like it almost killed him. Like if he would have been able to pull off the helmet, it was like almost like ripping off his head, and like literally like he started to suffer pain. And then they just show another panel where the armor has turned off, and he's like, oh, like it really like so we're kind of learning a little more about the suit, which is highly intriguing for me. Okay, so anyway, so he does get the information about Colt. So he does proceed to this warehouse with kind of this big britches kind of attitude, like, I'm Darkhawk, I'm this hero, which he hasn't established that yet, But he does go in there, he sees Colt, and Colt, it is basically a trap, and he basically has like 5 henchmen that are with him, and they all look like robotic-tized, versions of, there's like a scorpion looking thing, there's a big bad robot looking guy, but it's just basically like 5, overpowered looking robotic bad guys that they're his henchmen, and they basically go on to attacking Darkhawk as soon as he gets there. And Darkhawk kind of says some fancy like one-liners, and he's like, "All right, bring it," and then like as soon as the fight starts out, he really doesn't know anything about the suit or anything, so he is able to like kind of I wouldn't say retreat, but he is able to dodge around and miss some of their first, missile blast or laser blast that they got going on. But eventually, he doesn't really know the suit enough to take on like 1 or 5 bad guys and stuff. So they kind of already show you through the end of the first fight that he is just struggling, trying to keep up with the these 5 little henchmen and stuff. But they do show that the suit, like, it kind of looks like the amulet in the middle of his chest is showing him how to use the suit, because at one moment it's like it looks like a little scene from the past or the future or something like that, where he uses that middle piece of his suit to blast another guy, and he is able to do that. He also, like, the suit also reminds him that he has the claws, and they're like, this version is like energy claw, like purple energy claws that pop off, and he gets all excited when that does happen, and like the second it happens, it looks like someone cuts that hand off, or the hand detached and flew off. It's really weird. But in the very end, it just shows like all of them attacking at once. Colt gets mad because he wants the suit, and he's the way it looks like they just blew him up to smithereens. But the very end, it just shows that Darkhawk kind of like, maybe instinctively, the suit kind of blasts him out of that warehouse backwards, and he ends up landing in like, the water, maybe a bay that's near New York or something like that, wherever they are. I don't even know if they're in New York. But eventually, like in the very last panel, they do show that someone pulls him out of the river, and it ends up being Miles, and Miles just, grabs him and ends up swinging off, saying like, "Man, you learn how to fly before you can swim," kind of thing. And I think that's where the issue leaves off. But overall, a great story issue. The art is fantastic, especially the Miles and him carrying Darkhawk to safety kind of thing. But I love the whole him running in there and not knowing how to use the suit, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take you on. Oh crap, I don't even know how to use my weapons," kind of thing. And it was really different. But overall, I like where the story's going, and the kind of build-up of this new version of Darkhawk. I mean, it's not everybody's favorite, but I mean, in a world where all the other favorites are established, it's nice to see somebody trying to gain his own. Let's say, then the frog legs, Alright, so I will see y'all later. I'm about to go watch a show, and I got more reviews coming. Bah!